This is the world's toughest podcast. Welcome to the world's toughest podcast, where we talk about any obstacle course race you'd like, as long as that's world's toughest mudder. Each week we talk to members of the WTM community and share stories of success and failure in the single greatest event in OCR. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the world's toughest podcast. On today's bonus episode, Jim Campbell talks us through the course and obstacles at Toughest Mudder New Orleans. If you've been in the community for any length of time, you don't need an introduction to who Jim Campbell is. We're going to sit down for a full talk after Toughest LA to recap Toughest and to kind of get his whole story. But I'll tell you three things about Jim Campbell before we talk here. He's done over 100 Tough Mudder events. He's the only guy in Tough Mudder history to do that. No one's even close. He has been in every single world's toughest mudder. There's just a handful of people who have done that. And last year at World's Toughest Mudder, he killed a snake with his bare hands on the course. So we'll talk to Jim again in 3 or 4 weeks. But this episode is all about the season opener in New Orleans. Tough Mudder's never been to New Orleans before. This is their first time in the market, their first time at this location, obviously. And so it's pretty exciting. We go through each obstacle. There's 22 obstacles over 10 to 12 miles. This episode is real different than any of the other episodes we've done so far. I'll be real curious to hear your thoughts on it. My email is willhicks@gmail.com, or you can leave a post on the World's Toughest Mudder community page or on the World's Toughest Podcast Facebook page. Just search Facebook for World's Toughest Podcast. If you've been enjoying the show, you can do me a huge favor by leaving a review on iTunes. That's what Crisscross XXX did. Here's what Crisscross XXX said. WTM Geek Out, 5 stars. This is a great podcast that is very informative and a blast to listen to while training for 2017. Keep going. Also, El Labano said, oh hell yeah, 5 stars. For any of you interested in getting some info about World's Toughest Mudder from leaders in the WTM community, look no further than this podcast. The conversations are lively, the topics range from gear to experiences to failures and successes. The tone is laid back and very inclusive. Anyone who's run a WTM and wants additional info should tune in. This is must listen for anyone prepping for their first WTM like me. Thank you, El Labano and Crisscross XXX. If you'd like to leave a review, just go to iTunes, search for Tough Mudder. It's the first one that'll pop up. Click on the tab that says Ratings and Reviews. It'll take you literally 20 seconds. Let's talk to Jim Campbell. Jim Campbell, good to talk to you.
How's it going?
I'm awesome. Hey, thanks for taking the time to talk about the New Orleans course.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I just got on from the incline. It was perfect timing, so.
You doing some training?
Yeah, I've been doing some stuff at night. I've been trying to lift weights in the morning and stuff, and then at night, the incline gets pretty crowded now. It's like a tourist trap, so I go up there after it legally closes. So I go up there and make sure there's no one on it and make sure it's safe for all the animals to be on it. So that's what I do there at night.
That's very kind of you.
Occasionally, I'll take a picture occasionally. I don't know if you've ever seen a picture of me, but they're very rare.
Yeah. You don't post a lot of selfies, do you?
No, never. Hardly ever.
So, looking at the map for New Orleans this weekend, what do you think of the course?
It looks pretty flat, but it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. They've got a lot of great obstacles on it, and it's going to be warm too. You know, as many of these Tough Mudders as I've done, last year I think I did like 5 warm ones. That's the most I've ever done in a year if it were warm. Everything's usually cold or frigid or cold in the morning at least, and it's nice to have them warm. I'll tell you what, they're a lot easier to sell people and tell people to go to them when they're warm instead of when they're freezing ass cold.
Sure. It looks like it might be kind of swampy too. I don't know. It's very flat and surrounded by a lot of green.
Yeah, you know, in that wet kind of moist water, and anything's better than that. The stuff around New Jersey. That mud up there is crazy. Even the other place they have it in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia is not as bad as Englishtown. those people that never did the world's toughest mudder in Englishtown, I'll tell you what, they're not missing much.
I thought we could just go through the obstacles, just kind of talk about them, and then there's 22 for New Orleans this year. The first obstacle after the start line is Pitfall. Pitfall
is, I think, in talking with other people, Pitfall can be a couple things. It can range from like a hole dug into just the ground filled with water or not filled with water, and then they can put little terraces in them or throw a rope or netting or something to climb out of it. I think it varies just depending on, and if they've got a real muddy course there, they're probably going to have to put something to get out of the pit, I would guess.
I should have said before we started, you can actually see the map on Tough Mudder's website. It's up, or you can go to the World's Toughest Mudder community page or the World's Toughest Podcast Facebook page we just started last week.
Yeah, you actually posted. So I was reading it earlier.
The second obstacle is Skidmarked.
Skidmarked is where you climb up on the angled wall and then slide down with the tires on the back, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, it's called kind of angled toward you as you walk up to it. It's like a 45, I don't know if it's 45, but it's angled toward you. They call it an inverted wall, which...
Yeah, and it's depending on where they put that board or if they put that board. Some of them I've been to the Philadelphia one where it was skid marked and they didn't have that kind of board in the center to help you up. So it's definitely a team builder if it doesn't have that center board for you to hop over it, because the walls are typically pretty high where you have to jump to even get the lift.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're not using the brace and stuff, it's kind of hard to get up without another person behind you.
Yeah, you can muscle it up, and this is so early in the course you could probably still do it, but it's a lot easier if you have someone helping you.
If it's a drive. Those things get muddy, and I'll tell you what, if they place them, and these courses are all designated like where the mud is and where you're coming out of the water and everything else. But some of those super easy ones, like one time I did the monkey bar one, Funky Monkey, right after we did Mud Mile, and the thing was just miserable. I mean, some people like it because it works on your grip strength, but when every rung is muddy and wet for the whole Tough Mudder, it's kind of tough for the people that are just doing it for the first time.
The third obstacle is Kiss of Mud 2.0.
Oh, yeah, that one really depends on if they dug the trenches across them or if they've got the bales of hay, or, I mean, those things can be crazy hard, or they can be like World's Toughest Mudder last year. Remember, it kind of dried up towards the end of the race?
Yeah. It's basically you're crawling on your stomach under barbed wire through mud, and it can be dry, like you said. I did Vegas 2 weeks before World's Toughest last year, just the regular Tough Mudder, and it was so wet. And we came out of that, everyone was just head to toe covered in mud. And then 2 weeks later, it was a totally different experience.
And then I've done it in Vegas where I think it was the first or second year. I think it was in 14. But I did it, and they had those like loose gravelly rocks, and you went through it, and it was muddy.
Oh.
But then you came out and you were like totally torn up. So it's just a bag of nuts, depending on how they make it and how they set it, how much water's in it. But it can be really hard, or you can just roll through it really quickly.
Obstacle number 4 of 22 is the Hero Carry.
Hero Carry is always a good one as long as they've got flat ground. Sometimes in some of them, they'll do it up a hill or down a slick hill, but it's always a good strength and kind of camaraderie thing.
Yeah, you're basically carrying either one of your teammates or just some random person, or if you're lucky, there's like a light volunteer. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully a light volunteer.
Yeah, I'm not a small person, so I always feel bad for whoever I'm running with.
I had some in Scotland a couple of years back. I sat there and I was waiting for somebody to take me because I had gotten halfway. This girl ponies up and she's like, "I'll take you." And she weighs, I bet she didn't weigh like 120 pounds. I'm like, "No, I weigh like 210. I don't want you to do it." She freaking grabbed me, threw me up on her shoulder, and carried me like 50 yards. I'm like, wow. Chicks are strong here. That's all I'm going to say.
The Scottish
women. Halfway through, I'm whooping it up. When I realized she wasn't going to drop me, I started yelling and screaming and throwing my arms around and everything. It was hilarious.
You were a little nervous at first?
Yeah, when she grabbed me, she literally I'm like, oh, I thought she was kidding. She leaned into me like a fireman's carry and just picked me right up and took off with me. I'm like, hey, you're carrying an old guy around here.
The fifth obstacle is Devil's Beard.
Devil's Beard is Tough Mudder's answer to when they've run out of every other idea to do anything. They nail a net to a flat, hard road.
This is my least favorite obstacle of probably any obstacle.
I hate that. I've hated it. You know what, the one I used to love that they could do just as easily is just tie it between two trees and just have you climb up it. I always hate climbing underneath that net. Every time I come up to it, it's just, if they tie it too tight or whatever, because I wear a little backpack to carry extra gels and stuff for people.
Yeah.
And it inevitably just like shreds that thing and I get stuck under it. So
here's how
it's a good 15 builder though.
Yeah, here's how I usually do it is I take my Camelback off and I hold it under my chest and then I go backwards through it like butt first and you just kind of point your butt up and then if someone's already going in front of you, you just stay like right behind them and you can kind of, one person can kind of blaze a trail for everybody through it.
I'll tell you what's really cool is when you come up with like 4 or 5 and they do the side thing and then the people in the center keep rotating out. Mm-hmm. And you can whiz through it, and you're right, backwards is the way to go through it.
The 6th obstacle is Ladder to Hell.
Ladder to Hell, I love that obstacle. I've never done it when I didn't have fun. It's always usually set on a hill or something, and it's great for the legs to kind of break everything up, gives you a good climb, and it's a little bit scary. I mean, a lot of people are a little intimidated by it because it's pretty high up in the air, 4 or 5 rungs.
Yeah, they're each rung is like a 2x8, I think, 2x6 or 2x8, right. And they're like 3 feet apart, maybe just enough so that as you're going up, your legs want to start cramping.
Yeah, you have to I always grab it and pull up and like jump each one. But the really precarious part is at the top where you have to straddle like 2 feet wide. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's where it's going to pull your inner and outer thigh and stuff, and it depends on again where it's set on the course. But I love that obstacle. I have a lot of fun at it.
The top part is to get over. So you go up one side and you go down on the other. But at the very top, like you said, there's like a foot gap between the 2 top rungs. So you can either go across them both at the same time, or you can go over one 2x8 and then over the next 2x8. Kind of make it like a 2-step process.
I've seen people get stuck in between because they get a cramp.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, they're stuck at the top. Yeah, it's a good place to get cramped up. I'll tell you, because usually it's after a decent run, and then you hop up there, and people are just, I'm going to do this, and all of a sudden their calf starts cramping, then you get in trouble.
I think the secret to that one is just do it slowly. Like if you feel your legs start cramping, just stop where you are and relax.
And use your arms. Definitely use your arms on it.
Number 7 is Tired Yet.
Tired Yet. I've done different versions of that thing at some of the Obstacle Innovation Labs. They had like some hanging tires that we had to crawl through, which was really difficult. I don't know if that's going to be it or they have some tied together, but tires, they don't use a lot of them, but when they make them kind of a little tunnel, they're kind of difficult. So it'll be interesting to see what that one is.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell like what version they're going to have.
And if it's not warm, again, going back to the cold Tough Mudders as opposed to the hot ones. But if it's cold and you start dragging through there and that stuff like tearing your side, those tires get really hard when they get cold.
The next obstacle is Ha Ha Ditch.
Ha Ha Ditch. I think that's where they dig, if I'm correct, isn't that where they dig like 4 or 5 channels and you jump across them? Isn't that the Ha Ha Ditch?
That could be Mud Mile. This one might just be something with ditches going in and out. It could be like channels, like you got to follow them around. I'm honestly not sure what.
I think they had one at Pocono called, they dig them and they're dry. Mm-hmm. You just jump across them. But they were, that's pretty, some of those, like I said, just depending on the course and what the terrain is like. You go to jump across some of those ditches sometimes, and if it's wet and slick, there's a lot of people that plow into the other side. So I think a lot of people like jumping those ditches, whether they're dry or wet or whatever.
Obstacle number 9 is Pyramid Scheme.
Pyramid Scheme, probably your favorite obstacle, I would guess, right?
You know what? People either love it or they hate it. It's
don't ask me.
it's like an angled wall you walk up to, and it's slippery. I've seen volunteers on top of the wall with giant bottles of Wesson or like oil, cooking oil, dumping it on there to make it slippery for everybody.
you're usually jumping out of a ditch or jumping across a ditch to get on it to begin with, right?
Yeah. You drop into like a foot deep muddy water, and then you get on a small like a 2x4 ledge. It's on the bottom. It's angled, and then you got to get up. I don't know what 15, 16 feet up this angled wall. And
yeah, enough that you can't hardly run up it by yourself. They had a version of it at World's Toughest Mudder, but what I can't believe about that obstacle, what surprised me, is like the year they came out with it, I think Tough Mudder said, I don't know if it's true, but Tough Mudder said it was voted best new obstacle. That's hard for me to believe, though it's a great team building obstacle, though.
It is good. It is. I don't know. Oh man, it's tough to beat Block This Monster, but the secret to Pyramid Scheme is the biggest, strongest guy gets on the bottom, and he's like on his back. Some people do it on their stomachs, but I think on your back is better. And he's just on his back.
Right, absolutely.
Then the second guy.
Usually when we're going around, it's Darth Vader or I will be on the bottom, and then everybody fills up, and then you just have to grab them and pull them up at the very end, and it goes pretty quick. Some people go 2 and 3 wide. So the best thing to do is just do the ladder, the single ladder, instead of like a pyramid, and just get everybody up and then pull that bottom guy up, who's usually the biggest guy.
Yeah, so like after everyone, you make a chain, and people kind of climb up that chain to the top, and then you hang on to the top guy, and so then all the weight is at the top of the chain instead of the bottom of the chain, and then the bottom guy climbs up, the 3 or 4 people that are there, and then the bottom guy now is like hanging there. The second guy that went on is like hanging.
Pull him up.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so you got to go one at a time. The next obstacle after Pyramid Scheme is Mud Mile 2.0.
Oh, that's the one where they really dig it, and it's undercut now, and it's been, I don't know about you last year, but they make it pretty legit now. I haven't seen an easy Mud Mile in a long time.
Mud Mile,
except at World's Toughest Mudder, probably they have them pretty easy there.
It used to be this cute kind of fun obstacle, like, oh, we're gonna get in the mud, and then you kind of it's like trenches. You're coming up, and there's horizontal trenches in front of you, and you go into it, and then you climb up on the next ridge, and you go back into a trench, and you go up onto a ridge, and there's probably 7 of those ridges before you're out of the obstacle. But now, starting last year, like the second half of last year, the trenches are like 7 feet deep, and you cannot get out by yourself. I'm not exaggerating.
No,
they're crazy deep.
And a lot of people won't jump into them because you never know if that's solid at the bottom or wet or muddy or.
Oh yeah, there's like a foot of water in the bottom, and you can't see it when you're jumping into each trench.
Right, exactly. And again, like they have great ones in Europe and stuff, but then these Mud Mile 2.0s, they're just these huge triangular, mounds between, and it's hard to get up them, and you slide down them into the water. But here, you're right. They have these undercut ledges. They're like 7, 8 feet tall, and it's pretty tough. Like I said, Mud Mile is no joke anymore. It's pretty legit, I think.
Yeah, the only way to really get through it is you have either a team of people that you're running with, or you'll meet up with a group of people there, and you just kind of help each other through each one, and you're a little miniature team through this obstacle until you get to the end of it.
Right. If you're by yourself and you're trying to get up those, you always got to get up on the side because they're super tall now. Like I said, I haven't seen an easy one in 2 years probably.
They're fun, but they're hard.
Right, for sure.
After Mud Mile is the Block Ness Monster.
One of the favorites now, I would guess. It's just, especially being down there and being warm and a great team builder. It's still amazing though how tough it is to get some people to learn to push and pull, or once they get over it, they just keep swimming. I mean, you can help on the backside of that as much as you help on the front side,
Oh yeah, absolutely. If no one's ever done Block This Monster, it's these giant rotating blocks. They're horizontal in front of you, and they're probably 5 feet wide. And so you have a group of people, and you're facing this block that will rotate if you push on it, and you have to get 1 or 2 people to hang on to the edge while everyone else pushes the block so they start rotating over. And then the secret, what people that if it's the first time, a lot of them don't know, while you're hanging on, rotating over, you need to spin around, grab onto that same ledge, and pull it down as you go over to the other side.
Right. And anything you can do to keep that block moving just keeps everybody kind of perpetually coming over. When you lose that momentum, it's really hard to get it started again. People have to jump up from the front side. They have to jump up from the back side, lift from the front side. once you get that going, even if it's going 2 people at a time and it starts rolling, it just starts kicking people out. That's when it's really working.
Yeah, ideally that block just keeps spinning and you get 1 or 2 people across every single time and they're just pulling it.
Yeah.
And then, and that's honestly, it's one of probably the most fun obstacle. I get his opinion, but it's definitely fun.
I would agree. You could sit there and do it for a half hour.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Throw you out.
If you're not running for time, you could stay there. Yeah, you can stay there all day.
Yeah, no, it's good and it's fun, and especially if it's hot, it's nice to be in there for a little while.
The 12th obstacle is Berlin Walls.
Those, I don't know about your experience, but those kind of vary a little bit too. I mean, I've seen really tall ones. In fact, last year I was in Berlin in Germany, and the Berlin Walls over there were made out of like solid 4x6s. I mean, they were the most stout walls I've ever seen before, and it was kind of badass doing Berlin Walls in Germany.
Yeah.
But depending on how they build them, again, there's little footholds and stuff that different people put in by the different contractors that build them. But I think it's a staple of their obstacle thing, and I really enjoy Berlin Walls.
Berlin Walls are the very first obstacle I did at my very first Tough Mudder. And it was super hard. It was super hard, and I got up to the top of it, and I was all feeling like, yeah, I did it. And then I was like, oh, there's another one.
Yeah, well, they used to have 3, believe it or not.
Oh, wow. The secret to Berlin Walls is that you can just have someone give you a boost up, but then if you want to do it by yourself, you can grab it, kind of do a pull-up, and then hook your ankle, and then use your ankle as a hook, and kind of roll your body over the top, so that your whole body just is kind of a parallel with the wall as you go over it. You don't have to get you don't have to do a muscle up to get over the wall. You can just do half a pull up, hook your ankle, and then roll over.
And if they have the brace on the wall, usually I try to just get up, get my hands on the top of the wall, and then I can spring up with my legs enough to get my leg over. Because as you know, at World's Toughest Mudder, you have to get over those things by yourself inevitably.
Mm-hmm. After Berlin Walls is Everest 2.0.
I like. How do you like the new Everest with the extra foot on top of it?
So Everest, it used to be just called Everest. It was basically like a warped wall, kind of like Ninja Warrior, but really wide. And I could never get up it by myself. But as soon as I finally got up, I was like, yes. Like a month later, they're like, hey, here's Everest 2.0. I was like, oh man.
Right. With the lip 2 foot back, so it makes it even harder. If it's dry though, you can still get up it, but they make sure it's mostly not dry anymore. I mean, it's wet, but they don't. The one thing I found with this new 2.0 on Everest is they seldom put any kind of grease or any kind of vegetable oil or anything. It's pretty tough the way it is, just a little mud on it.
Mm-hmm. If it's your first time doing Everest, the best tip is just keep your legs moving, keep running as hard as you can toward that wall, and then wait till the last possible minute to jump up to the guys who are reaching their hands down for you.
Yeah, and I would tell people you don't need, they start out there 20 yards. I mean, you can get the momentum to get up it, if you're 10, 15 feet out. Mm-hmm. You just need to keep solid and not. People's legs fall out from under them. They try to jump way too early, like you said. Just keep going, and you'll be amazed. I mean, even with my hip hurt, I can make it up it, and I just start at the bottom, grab one of those guys' hands, and then you can, throw a leg up or whatever you need to do. But the biggest thing is just keep pumping until you're up there close enough to somebody's hands.
Everest looks real scary, but everyone's there to help you, so it's not that big a deal.
And it's super fun when you get to the top of it. It's really challenging.
Yeah. After Everest is one of the new obstacles, Augustus Gloop.
That's the one from World's Toughest Mudder where you climb up the tubes with the glass in front, and there's a ladder rung on each side. I think the scoop for that one is just turn one way or the other. Don't spread your legs and look straight out, and just use one side and just climb up it. That's the success I've found doing it.
Yeah, they've got handholds and footholds in the sides. So you go underwater and you get into this pipe, and there's water shooting down on your head from 12 feet above you, and you feel like you should put your left hand on the left side, your right hand on the right side, and then kind of monkey or spider climb up it. But you're right; it's better to actually turn 90 degrees, so both of your hands and both of your feet are both on the left or the right side, and push your back against the other set of rungs, and just kind of crawl your way out.
they trick you with putting that clear glass there, so you want to look straight out at everybody else. But yeah, you're right. Turn to the side and you'll shoot right up it.
After Augustus Gloop is Turducken.
Turducken is the one where you climb up and I think you slide down on your belly or your backside into water, and then you climb up a net over a little hill, and then the last obstacle you have to swim out to like a log, a pretty good sized log, and you have to dunk under the log and then pop up. They were getting some pretty awesome pictures of everybody at World's Toughest Mudder at that obstacle, I think.
Yeah, it's like Turducken, like 3 in 1. It's 3 obstacles. Kind of, you slide, you climb, you go under. It's not hard. It's just kind of fun.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun when it's warm too, you know.
Oh yeah. You know what? One thing we should have talked about on Augustus Gloop. There's also the Legionnaires version of the obstacle, although not a lot of Legionnaires have done it yet. The Legionnaire version is called Snot Rocket, and there's actually almost like Rain Man. They'll put a chain link fence down, and you have to go under that chain link fence to get into the Augustus Gloop part of the obstacle. So
it's not all the way across like it was at World's Toughest Mudder, huh?
Right. At World's Toughest, they called it Augustus Gloop, but we were actually doing Snot Rocket. So Augustus Gloop, like in New Orleans, will be a little bit easier than what we did at World's Toughest. But the Legionnaire version will be the same thing we did.
Yeah, you can see how that kind of freaks some people out who'd never done it before, you know.
Rain Man used to really stress me out. I haven't seen it on any of the obstacles yet this year, or any of the courses yet this year. But yeah, Rain Man was until I'd done it a few times, it was kind of stressful.
Oh, it does. It messes with a lot of people. A lot of people I've seen stand up in it, so they were getting so. It is. They're not used to doing it, and then you get a little water in your nose, and it's over after that.
So after Augustus Gloop is Turducken. After Turducken is Birth Canal.
Oh, that's actually a fun one that they came up with. And then isn't the new version? What's the new version where the sides are dark?
Well, they've got a Legionnaire's version of it also, which is called Black Hole.
Yeah, where it's basically where you crawl under the weighted. They kind of hang that center piece of plastic with water on it, and you're trying to climb through it, and it kind of presses you tight to the ground. But the Legionnaire's version is all darked out on the side, so it gives you the true Birth Canal feel, right?
I don't remember the actual Birth Canal feel. Go ahead.
Being dark would be more closer to it, right?
So you're going north, and these weighted things of water are going east to west, and they're pushing down on you as you go. And there's, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 of these weighted things you have to get under. And sometimes if you're there with a big group of people, they think, oh, we should go together, it'll make it easier. And it doesn't. Like, if you're by yourself and you see a big group of people coming, you should go for it as fast as you can. Because
right, exactly.
If you go by yourself, you can kind of push the water up, it pushes to the sides, and it makes it easier. If you're with a group, they're doing the same thing. They're going through, pushing it up and pushing water onto you. So if you can go by it, I mean, sometimes there's big groups and there's a line and you have no choice. But if you can, just go by yourself, go as fast as you can.
And for new people, it's deceiving because, you know, the obstacle is actually harder than it looks to me, I think.
Yeah.
I've done that where you can just belly crawl and slide on the plastic through there. And then I've done that where you get to the other side and you're like, holy crap, I can't believe I got through there, right? It was so hard.
Beat up.
Well, they have too much water in them or what. I mean, there's a plethora of things that can go wrong with it. Or they can be set really easy, like I said, with plastic under them where you just slide through.
After Birth Canal is Monster Mash.
What is that? I'm not familiar with that.
I'm not either. I have no idea. The logo for it, it looks like it could be a tire. It's like a black circle. You know, I don't know. I don't know what Monster Mash is.
Yeah, I wonder how long it's going to be before they start incorporating like some of these, even like at some of the early World's Toughest Mudders, the penalty thing was you had to like wheel one of those big tires out like 3 turns and then bring it back if you couldn't make it over Berlin walls or something. Mm-hmm. I almost wonder, but that just seems too time consuming, doesn't it, to wheel the tires around?
Yeah, especially with, you know, thousands of people going through.
Right, so it's probably not something like that. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Monster Mash. It could just be running through tires too, though, you know?
It could be. You know what? I bet you it's something with monster tires. I bet you're right.
Yeah. They'll have a graveyard smash, I bet. Something like that.
The 18th obstacle is Stage 5 Clinger.
Oh, I love that obstacle. Don't you?
Yes. Now, we did the hard version called the Reacharound at World's Toughest. They call it the Stage 5 Clinger at World's Toughest, but we were doing the hard version, the Reacharound.
Right.
The regular version of it, you run up to a ladder, kind of a ladder that's tilted slightly toward you, and then you climb up that ladder, and then once you get to the top, you have to reach around the top angle to kind of grab onto it, and there's a little bit of, you need to trust the obstacle that it's not going to fall apart, and kind of pull yourself up to the top. They had Reacharound set up at the Muscle Beach kind of pop-up event that Tough Mudder did a few months ago.
Right.
We did, in Vegas, we did the Reacharound, where you run underneath that platform, you climb up a ladder, you have to do monkey bars out, back toward that Reacharound area. You got to do the pull-up / maybe half of a muscle-up before you can reach around and grab that and pull yourself up. And it's fun, but it's hard. It's one of their hardest upper body obstacles I think they have.
Well, think about it too. I mean, a lot of people will fail it, but if they learn to get somebody underneath them to kind of give them a leg up and get over it. But yeah, I think it's great because I think Tough Mudder was kind of missing that element of a little more upper body strength. And I think it's going to be a very popular, brand new obstacle for everybody. I think it's a fun one if you don't have to do it for 24 hours, right?
Most of them are fun if you only have to do them once or twice.
Right, exactly. And I'm sure it'll be part of the loops for the tougher, but I don't know if they're probably not having a tougher event there, are they?
They are having a tougher, the very first one, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the tougher it'll be one 10-mile loop or 12-mile loop, however long the course is. They don't have the mile markers on this map I'm looking at. But
okay.
So yeah, this is the first weekend of Tougher Mudder also. So it'll be exciting to see how that goes.
That would be awesome. There's supposed to be a new headband and everything out for them, so that's cool.
And you need 100% obstacle completion to get that new headband.
Right, exactly. Yeah, if they take your little wristband away, there's no special headband for you.
I think you get a regular orange one if you fail an obstacle, but
right. Right.
After, speaking of fun obstacles, after Stage 5 Clinger is Arctic Enema, the Rebirth.
Oh, the new one, yeah, where you have to dip in underneath, which is going to shock a lot of people because they're used to be able to pop up, and now you've got to go inside the tube, which is really plays with your claustrophobic fears. You know, we did that one at the Innovation Lab too, and it was a little scary. I got to tell you, it was a little scary to go in head first.
Yeah, you know what? When I did it in Vegas 2 weeks before Worlds last year, and they're like, yeah, go in head first. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. No. But I guess you're supposed to, so.
Well, you are, but I'll tell you what's wrong with it. We did it at the Innovation Lab, and I did it once that way. And it's weird because if you get stuck, your tendency is to float.
Right.
And if you get stuck halfway through there, that you don't want your head underwater. You want your feet underwater. So, yeah, you have to literally go through and then pull yourself out the end of the tube. And I don't think a lot of new Tough Mudders are going to want to do that. It's hard enough the other way.
Oh, yeah. And then after you get through that, you have to basically do a little Rain Man, like a 3-foot, crawl under not barbed wire, but a chain link fence, and then go pull yourself under the 2x8 that's halfway through it.
Yeah, no, it's another double dunk again, and it, as you know, that ice water just gets right to you right away.
After Arctic Enema is Funky Monkey, the Revolution.
Oh, super fun obstacle. People are going to love that. I mean, after doing it, World's Toughest Mudder, how they had those rotating little wheels. They had the monkey bars up halfway to the top, and then you had these 3 oscillating wheels. I think 2 were horizontal, and then the last 2 were vertical, right, where you just swung out on them.
Yep. It's over water also, so there's zero, like, you're on your own on this one. There's no way your team can help you, like, hold your feet or anything.
No, it's all by yourself, and it'll be another good one for toughest too. But people were doing it. I mean, I think in some way it's more intimidating, but it's more fun than just Funky Monkey, don't you?
Yeah, and it also looks cool. It's just so the first half of it is you're you're on monkey bars going uphill, and then the second half of it. So then when you get to the peak of the obstacle halfway through it, you grab onto a giant vertical wheel. It's probably like 4 feet across. And you kind of swing out, and then you grab onto the next wheel. And you're kind of doing monkey bars, but you're on wheels that are spinning as you're going. Something that helped me, I used to have so much trouble with this. I still do, but your tendency, what you want to do is you want to put both hands on the first bar, and then put your next hand on bar 2. Then your next hand, you want to skip bar 2, go to 3. But I find it's best for me if I go 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. So that I have 2 hands on the bar as much as possible, 2 hands, hanging onto a bar as much as possible.
Right, and that was the same reasoning behind Funky Monkey 2.0. Also, it's the great thing about it is that before, when you were doing Funky Monkey, even somebody new, you got halfway across and fell, you're like, oh, you fell on Funky Monkey, or when they had the other transition to the bar and the trapeze. What's cool about this is when you fall off of, 3 oscillating wheels, I mean, it looks kind of badass even when you fail it, right?
Right, yeah. You're not falling straight down. You're flailing as you go down.
Right, and it looks like you're doing something, not just, in the old days, because I couldn't make it across Funky Monkey the first couple of years when I did Tough Mudder, because they had a different setup and the handles would spin and all this. But, once you finally get it, you go across it and you're like, wow. But when you fail it and there's all kinds of stuff going on, it even looks cooler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even for the new people, it's nice to make it halfway past the latter part and then fall on the wheels if you're going to fall.
Obstacle 21 of 22 is 6 feet under.
6 feet under. One that I had seen in Central Texas one time is they dug again a deep trench, like 8 feet deep, covered it with plywood and plastic and dirt. So you kind of went in this cavernous hole. And then at the end of it, there was this sloped, wet, kind of muddy wall that either had a rope or didn't. And it kind of took other participants to get you out of there. And it was kind of a tough obstacle that I remember.
I don't remember what it was called, but I did one where you're basically they dug trenches and they put plywood over it, and you're almost you're on your elbows and knees crawling through it. And then it takes these hard 90-degree turns and hard 90-degree turns. It didn't have the thing at the end like you're talking about, but you felt like you were doing a maze or a zigzag underground. And it was kind of like a claustrophobia.
I think that one. Yeah, that one I think they call trench warfare, but it could be that where it's the 2-foot deep thing where they just cover it with plywood and dirt, which is kind of fun, and it's kind of rocky and grumbly in there trying to do it. Sometimes they'll throw water in there. Or it can be the real, deep 8-foot ones where you're trying to crawl out of them. Either of the obstacles that we explained would be super fun, just getting out of the sun, because I bet it's going to be warm there, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. The last obstacle is electroshock therapy for the first-timers and Kong for the Legionnaires.
Oh, man. Kong's a fun one. Didn't you enjoy that, the swinging from ring to ring at World's Toughest Mudder?
Kong is super intimidating, but it's totally doable. And it's not about strength. It's just about timing.
And patience. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Because you want to kind of muscle your way through it. You feel like you need to do it fast. But you just grab onto the first one and slowly just swing out to the next ring and grab onto it. And you just one after the other. And 4 smooth, fluid motions, and you're through it. No big deal.
And just like you said before, I think that was some great advice. Make sure you transition and you hold on to both rings as long as possible. Don't put any undue weight on one arm, and then just swing right to the next ring.
What do you think about electroshock therapy?
I like it. As long as you don't run through and get knocked out or go through in crutches, I like it. I can tell you that.
What's your secret for making it through?
Go through it slow. Don't go through it fast.
Really?
Yeah, because every time I've tried to run through it fast, I can walk through it iron cross, and you get zapped and it hurts. But the only time, and I've gotten knocked out quite a bit on that obstacle, is when I try to haul ass through it because I'm in some hurry or I'm locked arms with somebody else, and it just inevitably gets me when I'm trying to run through it fast. I think the wires kind of ball up on you, and you get enough of the shock from 3 or 4 of them. I don't think the shocks individually will get you; they'll hurt. But but it takes like 3 or 4 wires to knock you out, I think.
I've never been knocked out.
The only way to do that. You've never been knocked out?
No.
Are you serious?
No, my brother had. My brother's very first one, he got like a burn on his head, and he went down for a second, and he had a bad time.
Well, in one time after having one of my stem cell treatments, I wasn't supposed to do a Tough Mudder, and I ended up doing it on crutches, so I got this great idea to decide to go through, electroshock therapy with 2 aluminum crutches, and that didn't work out so well.
What happened?
Well, the first time I got knocked out, my friend PJ got a picture of me just totally head, face, everything underwater. I didn't even know I got knocked out. That's how bad I got knocked out.
The second
time I got back up. The second time I got up, and it's the second I got up on my crutches again, I went to go over a bale of hay, got knocked out again. I'm like, shit. That time I felt it, though, and I hit the bale. And so the third time, I grabbed my crutch and threw one of them out of there. And then when I grabbed the second crutch, go ahead.
No, I'm dying laughing. Go ahead.
No, and then the third time, right as I was coming out the end of it, I grabbed my last crutch to throw it out, and it just knocked me flat again because I had that crutch wheeling it through all the wires,
right,
and it just grabbed all the electricity. I mean, people were running through on the left side, like not even getting shocked because imagine some idiot in there with a lightning rod, swinging it around all the other wires going, I've got all the electricity, don't worry. And it did. It knocked me out 3 times in one pass.
So, pro tip is don't take crutches through electroshock therapy.
Ever. No matter what. No matter how good you feel that day. And my friend PJ has it on a video of the whole thing. And I'm telling you what, the first time I got knocked out in it, I don't even remember. He's got the funniest picture where literally all you can see is the back of my baseball cap. That's it. In other words, there is just Jim's body with a baseball hat under the mud. And I didn't even feel it. I got up after, totally engulfed in mud, and I'm like, what happened? You just get up like, what? Did I get knocked out? What happened?
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, I'm going to get up. I'm going to go through here with crutches again. And boom, just got knocked out again. So, yeah, probably not go through with crutches, I would say. Probably not do a Tough Mudder on crutches. How about that? We'll start there.
Well, that's all the obstacles. 22, distance is going to be between 10 and 12 miles. Something that I didn't notice until we were talking through them is there's no King of the Swingers.
Oh, wow. Down there. Yeah, that's going to be... I wonder what they swapped out for that, huh?
I don't know.
Not Block Ness, because Block Ness is in all of them, too, so... Wow, that's kind of interesting. I wonder if it was a last-minute decision or not, because they've got that new one, right, where you swing over to the net?
Yeah, that one they're going to have... That's just for the toughest. So they'll have that in L.A.
Oh, okay.
The way I think it's going to happen is, like in L.A., it'll be regular King of the Swingers for Tough Mudder and Tougher Mudder, and then, between 1 p.m. and midnight when we start the toughest, they'll set up the obstacles with the kind of enhanced versions. But
right, exactly. That makes... But yeah, that's kind of interesting that they don't have it, especially in a warm weather Tough Mudder like that. That's going to be really kind of missed, I bet, don't you think?
Yeah, that's one of the... I'd say that's my second favorite obstacle.
Yeah, it's definitely not the most enjoyable like Block Ness is, kind of rewarding. But I'll tell you what, it's awesome being up there in that swing, reaching for that bell.
Man,
I mean, the only thing that beats that is Double Rainbow. I got to tell you.
Yeah, Double Rainbow from World's Toughest. I don't think we'll see Double Rainbow until next World's Toughest.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, hitting that bell is a good feeling. That's a pretty good feeling.
Yeah, because it changes too. I mean, but it's pretty rewarding when you swing out there and you're able to reach out and do like a Superman grab and touch it, or even some people kick it with their feet. It's just really rewarding to go through all those obstacles and be able to do that. It just makes you feel like $1 million, right?
Oh yeah. Well, cool. Well, Jim, thanks for your time talking through the obstacles, and hopefully this is helpful to somebody out there.
Absolutely. Well, I hope they have a great season opener, and then I will see you in L.A., right?
Absolutely. I'll see you there. Hey, before we go, is there anything you want to promote? Are you selling any Goat Tough gear or anything you want to plug?
We're going to have some stuff released at the weekend of the toughest out in L.A., and we're going to do kind of a launch for our pro team. We've got a pro team this year for Goat Tough, we've got some regional athletes that we're sponsoring, and then we've got 25 Goat Tough ambassadors. So it's going to be a big year for Goat Tough this year.
Well, where can people go to learn more about that?
They can go to our Goat Tough page, because we're going to release it, and then we're going to have, we're almost got the Goat Tough website built. They'll be able to order hats, shirts, jackets, all that kind of stuff. And then we'll be, the pro team members will all be wearing some of the garb at the Toughest in LA. So you'll be able to talk to them and give us a call or IM me if you have something specific you're looking for. But we're going to do it right this year. We've got real pro team athletes that are going to support us all through the year, and we're going to do what we do and raise some money and give some money back to the community. And it's going to be an awesome year.
Cool. So they can find you on Facebook now, and webpage is coming soon.
Webpage is coming soon. GoTough.com.
Awesome. Jim Campbell, thanks much.
Thank you so much, Will. I appreciate your time.
Special thanks to Jim Campbell for appearing in this episode. If you know somebody doing their very first Tough Mudder, share this episode with them. If you are a WTM vet, let me know what you think of this episode. willhicks@gmail.com or World's Toughest Podcast on Facebook. This is a bonus episode, regular episode next Tuesday. Thanks a lot, you guys.